Let's move on. Let's talk about Pidilite. That's higher in today's trading session. The company reported a good set in the third quarter. Their consumer business volume came in at 10.3% as against street expectations of high single digits to 10% itself. I caught up with Bharat Puri, who's the MD of Pidilite Industries, and spoke about the drivers that led to this growth that the company reported, which is faster than the general consumer sentiment that we've seen. So what is it that they did differently as against the other peers? Listen in.
So over the last 3 to 4 years, we have consistently invested in these markets, invested via increased servicing, invested via consumer education, and therefore increased distribution touch points. You know, our initiative called Pidilite Ki Duniya, which is these small retail stores in villages with a population of 5 to 10,000. We now have 12,000 Pidilite Ki Duniyas. So all of this has really been, something that we've been working with. We have a very clear path ahead. We are clear. This is how we grow core categories. This is how we grow growth categories. These are the growth geographies, and this is how we will grow them. Fortunately, a lot of that is working, and therefore, volume growths are at the double-digit level.
What was the percentage increase in the places that you reached, and as a result of which the incremental sales that came by? And what's your plan for increasing your distribution reach further?
See, we will consistently, our objective is that all villages over 5,000, we should reach directly over a period of time. Right now, we reach about half of these. These 12,000 Pidilite Ki Duniyas that you currently we speak about, I would like these to actually increase and get closer to 15 to 18,000 over a period of time. So we're consistently going deeper, and we're consistently increasing our range. Products like, for example, an Araldite didn't have much rural sales when we acquired it. It now has substantial rural sales. Our tiling adhesive ROF has now been extended to rural and semi-urban areas. So we're A, increasing our range. B, we have a sales force that works only on demand generation and educating users in these small towns and rural areas. All of this is now paying us back. For us, for the year, rural and semi-urban growths have been 1.5 times urban growths.
Margins, they're at the higher end of your famously guided band of 20 to 24 odd percent. They're closer to 23.7%. Do you think they stay here for a bit in the near future? Or are you seeing some volatility in raw material prices because of which it may come down to maybe the lower end of the band that you have?
We've always said that we don't manage to the minuteness of a percentage. 20 to 24, when raw material prices are soft, it will be at the higher end. When raw material prices are seeing a hell of a lot of volatility, we will go to the lower end. So we will remain in this range, possibly at least for the next quarter at a little more at the higher end. But as I said, the moment these margins come in, we look at further growth initiatives and how do we fuel further growth. Because what's important to us is underlying volume growth. If on a consistent basis, we can deliver double-digit volume growth, then, in a simplistic sense, we're adding 10% new or existing consumers using more every year. And that's really what we focus on.
Well, that's, what the street believes as well, with the margin staying at the higher end of the band with 10% volume growth coming by. Maybe the downgrade cycle for Pidilite is behind them, as there was a brokerage note this morning which suggested too. But you did allude to increasing your capacity. 9 factories added this year itself, 1 factory added this quarter. In terms of percentage, how much does that increase your capacity by? When do you utilize these fully? And, what is the delta in terms of growth because of these capacities that you're adding?
See, we're always in a mode of forward planning. So it's never that we the moment we reach between 70 and 75% capacity utilization, we start planning the next phase of expansion. So as we speak, while we've added 9 factories in this calendar or in this financial year, you will see us in the next 2 years add another 5 to 6 factories, which are currently, some on land acquisition, some on planning.
You spoke about innovations doing well as well, this time around for you. Could you give us a sense of what proportion of your current sales come in from products that were about 2 years, launched in the last 2 years or so? And how do you see this growing?
This is something we measure on a consistent basis. And my objective has always been that at least 1/3 of our growth must come out of innovations launched in the last 2 years. We've now reached that level because, you remember when we spoke just after COVID, I told you we've, during COVID, worked through our innovation plans, and you will see a whole set of launches. all our divisions have pretty much launched 2 or 3 products every 3 to 6 months. And therefore now we're at that rate where our innovation rate is slowly reaching the double-digit mark.
From the time you've acquired Pidilite to now, what do you think the scale has been? I mean, how much has it grown by? What multiple?
See, Pidilite has grown again in the multiple of over, I mean, it is, forget high teens, it is over 20% on a CAGR basis. We, while it was a leader, we always maintained we see it as a growth stock, we see it as a growth brand. And we've consistently, therefore, invested behind it, and it continues to, therefore, motor along merrily. And in fact, rural and semi-urban has been a very strong driver of its growth.
What about competitive intensity? Now, competitors are offering all of Pidilite's products. You are offering some of the competitors' products. Everyone is looking to, obviously, understandably, increase the range that they are offering to all the distributors. Has there been any noticeable change in competitive intensity other than what it has always been?
At an overall level, see, as markets get better, normalcy has returned. Obviously, competitive intensity has increased post the COVID era. But listen, if you're Pidilite, you have the market shares that we have. We're no strangers to competition. There are, new waves of organizations that will come into our categories. We've always said that we're a home improvement company and we will consistently look at adjacencies and launch adjacencies. I think the competitive intensity remains high, but as I've always maintained, if we delight our consumer and customer a little more than everybody else, our job is to look forward and not look back over our shoulder.
Fevicol ka jod is what it always keeps the investors excited all about.
Thank you, Mangalam. It's always a pleasure. And yes, the Fevicol jod is a mazboot jod, and it's wonderful that it's also there within our organization where we have a lot of mazboot employees going every morning and saying, "Dam laga ke haisha."
Wonderful. Thanks a lot, sir.